Good morning and welcome to this weekly market update. Today is the 8th of May 2012. Charts I'll be going through today are Euro dollar, cable, dollar yen, Aussie dollar and the gold. For any new followers, we have three moving averages on each of these charts. The red one is the 55 SMA, the 100 is the purple is the 100 SMA, and the gold is the 200 SMA. Okay, so let's have a look at the euro dollar. This is the weekly chart. What we're doing today is just going through the technical analysis and trying to give some sort of weekly outlook, what's happened last week and what I think will happen this week in terms of the technicals. Okay, so on this euro chart, very interesting week last week. We've been talking about this recent fib move from the recent swing low to recent swing high. And as you can see, these multiple weeks here, you can see the amount of times that we've tried to pierce below this 50% level. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times now. The amount of times that we've pierced below, and then we had the candlestick close above the 50% level. But we had, last week's candle was just a plain bearish candle. We did say last week that, the odds are for continuation to the upside, but we did get a retracement candle last week. But the most important thing is on the Sunday we had a lot of European news. We had the French elections and the Greek elections, and that caused a lot of volatility in the markets, and we had some big gap downs in most of the currency pairs, mainly being Euro USD. You can see it slightly clearer. Actually, I'll just quickly flip to a 30-minute chart. You can see we have this gap down here from the Friday close to the Sunday open. But in terms of this weekly fib setup, the main thing is that it gapped and it opened below this 50% line, so it makes it trickier for this fib as it's been playing out so well and very technically. Now this 50% level may act as resistance, but as you can see, if you we'll zoom in here, you can see it is come down already. This is Tuesday because we had a bank holiday yesterday in the UK. We came down and we tested the 61.8% level to the pip pretty much at one spot 29.52, and we're now bouncing back up. So this week will be a very interesting week in terms of these weekly candles, where this weekly candle will close. But as you can see, we've also already come up and tested the 50% level and it's come back down. So it's currently it's nearly a doji in between this big 50% level and 61.8. So very interesting in terms of the weekly. The main resistance still in terms of the weekly remains this 0% line and the 100 SMA. That's all I'm really interested in terms of the resistance on the weekly. Let's have a look at the daily for a bit more detail. You can see it clear. Yesterday's candle came all the way down, tested 61.8, and we had a nice hammer candle, but we do have a bit of upper wick there. I'll just zoom in there for you. We have a bit of upper wick, and the candlestick closed below the 50%. So as you can see, previous support is now already acting as a bit of resistance. So be very interesting today. In fact, at today's candle we may get it's already come up and test this 50% level and it's come back down. So if for any upside momentum we need to get above this 50% level, that's the key line in the sand for me in terms of the longer term charts, these weekly and daily charts. If we're going to get any upside momentum, we have to get above this 50% level. And then on the daily we had that first resistance area, which is the 100 SMA on the daily, but I still think it's the bias towards the upside, in all honesty, especially with yesterday's daily candle, a nice bullish candle there. But no, so it's a much trickier play now. Also, you have to keep in mind we have these lower lows here on the euro dollar chart. So if we do get any pop to the upside, that's a key resistance line. But it's been a very technical chart, and it still is technical even with that big gap down. Yes, we're now below this 50% level, but I mean, to the pip off that 61.8, that's a very key technical bounce there. So it'll be interesting going into the week for euro dollar. Okay, let's have a look at cable. What did we have last week on cable? We just had pretty much a standard bearish weekly candle there. Nothing, not an engulfing or anything, just a little retracement candle really. In terms, we've been speaking about this is the key thing to look at on the cable chart. That key trend line support still holding very well, and we also have the nice resistance line here. So that's still in play. In terms of the moving averages, we're still above these moving averages. We did say last week that if we're going to get any retracement, then expect to bounce off of these moving averages down here, but we didn't get that big retracement. It looks like it still wants to come down this week, but yeah, nothing too exciting really in terms of that weekly chart. Unless we get any sort of retracement down, then we'll be looking for a bounce off that 55 weekly moving average. In terms of the daily, what do we have? We have a nice little trend line we can draw there. That's been playing out very well. So, I mean, it does look like on cable, especially these next few days, that it looks like it wants to come down and test this trend line support really. So we'd be looking for some sort of retracement. We do have the 55 SMA just below the trend line. And maybe let's draw a fib from that recent swing to there. So if we do come down, if it slowly trickles down, it may bounce off the 50%, or we may get a nice bounce off the 61.8. But I think it's still kind of bullish, I think, in terms of cable. A lot of people will be looking at buying the dips on this trend line and any fib retracement confluence zone. Okay, let's have a look at dollar yen. What do we have on dollar yen? On the weekly, it's all about this recent fib. In terms of a weekly outlook, what's going to happen this week? This is the key fib you want to have on your charts. There's nothing much too interesting in terms of the weekly moving averages, so I'm going to flip it to the daily. This fib move, it hasn't been that technical in terms of bouncing off the 50%. It looks like it wants to come down and test the 61.8, but as you can see, we are bouncing off this 100 SMA. So quite an interesting level to have on your charts there, but I still think it looks like it wants to have a bit more retracement. Maybe the interesting thing for me in terms of dollar yen will be to see what happens at that 61.8, but it's not massive, it's not very technical in all honesty. I mean, we do have a kind of trend line resistance down here, which has been playing out quite nicely. That'd be the only way that I'd play it really, unless we get any key reversal off of this 61.8. Okay, let's have a look at Aussie dollar. What do we have on the Aussie dollar in terms of this weekly? It's still very still bullish, you have to say. Nice trend line, still holding. Although actually, I need to draw that a bit better. Wait a sec. We're literally testing this trend line support as we speak, and also if you zoom in on this weekly, we have a nice little test off this 100 weekly moving average. So nice little support level there in terms of Aussie dollar on the weekly, this trend line support and 100 week moving average. Let's flip it to the daily for a bit more of a shorter term outlook. A lot of people have been looking at this fib from the recent bounce off the trend line to the high on the daily. It's testing the key level at this 50% fib. You can see we had the daily candle yesterday pierced below and it bounced back up. Not a massive reversal candle, but quite a lot of people will be thinking that is a nice reversal candle. But for me, it's all about what happens at this 50% line. That's the key line in the sand for me in terms of Aussie dollar. Are the buyers going to come back in and buy off of this dip? Okay, that's all for the forex. Let's have a look at gold. Gold, still a very interesting chart indeed. You have to have this trend line support up here on your chart. In terms of that 55 SMA, gold has literally just been in and out of that SMA, so it hasn't been reacting off it too well. So let's flip on the daily. But as you can see, we're still inside this trend line support zone, so you have to keep that in mind, that we're still in the nice uptrend on gold. But for me, what's really key on gold is this big 61.8% level. It's been holding very nicely indeed. You can see for the sort of last couple of weeks we've had a few piercings below the 61.8, but we've bounced off it, so it's been reacting very nicely. That's that 1624.91 level. If you zoom in on the maybe 1 hour, actually no, let's zoom on the 4 hour, you can see it a bit clearer how well it has been reacting. Let's delete that for you. You can see the amount of candles that we've had around here. Very nice action there at this 1625 level, and as we speak we are literally bouncing off this level already, so the buyers are already coming in at this 1624. So the key level for momentum into the week is all about this 1624.91 level for me. If we do get any bounce above, then you can see on this 4 hour we have the nice cluster of moving averages around here, so the 100 SMA around there. That'll be a key level that a lot of people will be looking at. What the moving average is on the daily, the 100-day moving average has been holding very nicely. We can see this last sort of 3. I'll just highlight that for you so you can see it a bit clearer. Oh God, what am I doing now? So you can see once there, twice there, 3 times there we've reacted off of that 100 SMA. So if we do get any bounce above, then you'll have to keep that in mind, that key 100 SMA. But also this 50% level may act as a resistance level, but it hasn't really been that technical in terms of the daily chart. It's all about a 61.8 for me for gold. Okay, that's all for the charts. Let's have a look at the weekly calendar on Forex Factory and see what we've got coming out this week. I mean, the markets are still kind of digesting the French and Greek elections on Sunday. It caused a big sort of 70 pip gap down in euro dollar, so very key there. In terms of economic data, what do we have out though? Today, 11 AM, we have the German industrial production numbers month on month. That's the kind of big data for today. We also have Draghi speaking at 1:30. Wednesday, very quiet day. A lot of low impact news there. Nothing really interesting on Wednesday. Thursday, what do we have? A much bigger day here. We have some big Australian news there. Employment change, unemployment rate out at 2:30 AM. 9:30 we have some big UK data. We have manufacturing production. Month on month forecast at 0.4%. Previously was -1.0%. We also have the interest rate decision as well. So the official bank rate and the actual asset purchase facility. We also have the MPC rate statement. 1:30 UK time out of the US with the US trade balance. We have the weekly jobless claims, and we also have at 2:30 Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke speaking, so make sure you keep an eye out on that. Is he going to give any hint of QE? And on Friday we have some Chinese CPI data, so that's always interesting to look out for if any of you trade stocks, or I mean for euro dollar, it always has an effect on euro dollar as well. 9:30 AM UK time. We have the UK PPI input numbers month on month forecast at -0.8%. Previously was 1.9%, so we're looking at a big decline in the number there. It's quite interesting. And at 1:30 we have the US PPI numbers month on month forecast at 0.0%. Previously was 0.0%, so not too exciting those numbers there. And to finish off the week, we have the US preliminary University of Michigan consumer sentiment numbers forecast at 76.5. Previously 76.4. Okay, that's all for today. Hope you have a great week trading, and I'll catch you next Monday. Thanks.